Loving, loving Sai Ram, Dr. P.V. Shankar, the Sri Satya Sai Global Council of Trinidad and Tobago lovingly welcomes you to the series Awake, Unite, and Inspire. We are extremely blessed, fortunate, and honored to have you once again on this evening's program. And my very first question to you, Dr. Shankar, is Swami says, duty without love is deplorable. Duty with love, desirable. Love without duty is divine. Kindly explain and expand on your understanding of this particular teaching of Swami.
Sairam, Brother Faiz, loving Sairam to everybody who is online from the Trinidad region of Zone 1, Satya Sai Global Council. It is indeed a great privilege and honor to be back on this wonderful satsang series conducted by you. It's so amazing. And even I'm included, I'm thrilled. The question you asked is kind of a tremendous surprise to me because you may not believe it. This is my most favorite quotation of Bhagwan. So nothing will give me more happiness than to contemplate on that. When I first heard this quotation from Bhagwan, many, many years ago in the 70s, I was in a state of shock because Swami's quotations in any language, but especially in English, some of his quotations are like the Mahavakyas, and we all know. And this one is unique in that sense. And when I heard this from Swami in person, and I've heard it many times in his public discourses and also in the interviews, every time I hear this from Swami, I get a thrill. Just like the petals of a rose blossom, the meaning kept coming at me. So I am indeed shocked that you chose this as the first question. So I have to believe that Swami is really controlling. Of course, we know that, we keep forgetting, but I could not have asked for a better question to start with. Why is this quotation so important? See, the Bhagavad Gita is considered the essence of Sanatana Dharma. And Dharma is very important word and is very loosely translated as a duty. And duty can be looked at it differently. Duty as a burden, duty as an obligation, duty as a responsibility. There are different flavors of understanding of duty. And if you look at what Swami is saying, duty without love is deplorable, where you're looking at duty as a burden. Duty with love desirable, you're looking at duty as an obligation going towards responsibility. But when you have a responsibility, unfortunately, there is a doership and you have some expectations. And if we have any expectations, we are bound to be disappointed. And then duty as love as duty gives us the total freedom as the three layers of understanding the duty. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Swami used to tell, the Bhagavad Gita starts with the first word, dharma. And the last word of Bhagavad Gita is mama. Mama dharma means my duty. So the Swami's, this quotation is the essence of the Bhagavad Gita, and Bhagavad Gita is the essence of Sanatana Dharma. So if we understand the true import of this teaching of Bhagwan, then we know how to live. So if we practice what Swami is telling, love without duty divine, that covers 99.99% of our spiritual evolution. We don't have to do anything else. And Brother Faiz, please feel free to, because I'm still explaining the first question, so anytime you can pitch in. So, but there are so many layers of understanding which I have enjoyed and I want to share. And also I want to share a personal experience as part of this answer to this question. Now, before we go deep into it, I want to talk about life as we understand, a contemporary understanding of what life is. And then I want to compare it with what Vedanta says what life is and how it becomes applicable to us. Then I will share my experience towards that. So please be cognizant of time and stop me if I'm taking too much time on this question, Brother Faiz. So psychology over the decades, several decades ago, influenced by Freudian psychology, which is basically explaining human behavior as an aberration based on the fears of the subconscious. Because we understand the purpose of life, normally we understand, is the pursuit of happiness. But what the Freudian psychology influence has done is to make psychology as a negative science. It explains everything, our actions, weird or unbelievable or unacceptable, as a consequences of suppressed emotions and fears, which is to some extent is true, because everything, our inner negative qualities reflect in our life. But then a modern group of psychologists led by a person named Martin Seligman, they started saying that we should not let psychology be a negative science. We should not just focus on negative aspect of human personality, but we should also use it as a positive healing science to promote the good qualities of the human character. So in this context, Martin Seligman started to define what is happiness. So he said he came up with an equation. H equals P plus E plus M. What does he mean? He says, what do we mean by happiness? We mean happiness means as soon as a desire comes, you want to enjoy it. You want to eat an ice cream, or you want to go on a trip, or you want to do this or that. So that is the lowest level of happiness. Someone may ask, what is wrong with this? Well, nothing is wrong with it, but the only problem is this happiness is so limited, so transient, and we enjoy this for a few seconds, few minutes, and usually if we indulge in excess, we suffer from guilt or a sadness. Because as Swami says, pain is an interval between two pleasures, and pleasure is an interval between two pains. So this is very, very limited, only gives limited happiness. Then Martin Seligman says, suppose you go one step further. Suppose you are interested in something deeply. That is, you are interested in art, you are interested in science, or even he gives an example that you are watching a game like a couch potato. There is a certain level of happiness. But if you play the game, there is a higher level of happiness. So this is called engagement. When you engage yourself in something, the happiness is much more and it lasts longer. But even that is finite. Then finally he says, there is a happiness that is so P is pleasure, E is engagement, and M is meaning. Suppose you have a meaning in life. You believe in a cause. Then you totally dedicate yourself to that happiness. Then what happens? It is much, much longer. It lasts longer. And so when you do something meaningful, it has a lasting impact. As part of the course, they did something. They took a set of students. One day, each week they had a program. So they took them to a movie 1 week. Next week, they took them to a blind school where the children could spend time and help the blind children see their plight. So after 6 months, he asked a question to the students. Do you remember 6 months ago what we did? None of the students remembered going to the movie, but without exception, everyone remembered going to the blind school. So when we do something which has true meaning in our life, it has a lasting impact in us, and that gives more happiness. And Martin Seligman stops with that. Now, what does Vedanta do? Vedanta goes one step further. Vedanta, there is something called Purushartha, that is accomplishments, goals of life. That is Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. Dharma is translated as duty. And then I talked about the various flavors of duty, that is pleasure, or considering it as a burden, as an obligation, as a responsibility. Now, Artha is wealth. And of course, all of humanity wants to seek wealth. And Kama is fulfilling desires. And then moksha will come later. So if we compare the Vedantic model, Kama is equivalent to what Martin Seligman calls as P, as pleasure. That has the least importance in life. Then Artha actually is not just wealth, it's prosperity, because every talent we have is a kind of a wealth. So, but that lasts longer. But then Dharma as duty, that we have responsibility towards other thing, that has a longer lasting impact. But if you notice in Vedanta, in Martin Seligman, it starts with pleasure, engagement, and meaning. But Vedanta starts with Dharma first. Always the righteous conduct is the starting point. As Swami would say, Dharma should go with Artha, that it earn money through righteous means. Whatever you do has to be righteous means, righteous ways. And Kama should be for moksha. That is, you should only desire for liberation. All other desires are temporary, and at some point you have to transcend them. So if you look at one step further, I would say dharma is innate goodness in us. Everybody is truly good. We are pretending to be bad. Artha is inherent prosperity. Kama is intuitive creativity. But even if we pursue dharmartha kama, it is temporary and we will not be blissful. We will not have peace because there is a sense of doership. So what is moksha? It is freedom from even the limitations of desire. It is freedom from the engagement in doing things or earning a living for a living or leading life in a limited manner. So freedom from dharmartha kama is moksha. And that is love without duty is divine. And that's what Swami is telling. When you develop that kind of love for God, love for your true self as nature, as consciousness, you will truly understand the meaning of what this is the only way to live. So do not consider duty, do not do duty without love. It's deplorable. And maybe with love, when you do, you still have some expectations. You want a promotion. You want other people to appreciate. But the only way to live is love without duty is divine. I want to share an example from my own life. Swami used to tell, job, 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 no Swami. Swami, Swami, no job. So Swami used to tell, do not separate job, world from God. God is world. God has created the world and you are God. So Swami will say, do not separate God's work and office work. Always take me with you. Let me do the work for you. Don't take too much responsibility on yourself. So in 2001, of course, Swami used to say, come every year, twice at least. So he will insist that you should come for birthday, you should come for Guru Purnima. And it was very difficult to get leave, but Swami will always insist. He said, this is the time you should come initially. And then Swami said, in the 80s, in the 90s, Swami said, you should come once more in between. So we used to go 3 times a year to see Swami. And I kept changing jobs because nobody likes an employee who takes so much leave. So career was not very important for me. And then in the 2000s, Swami put more pressure because we didn't realize that Swami was planning to leave early. So Swami insisted you should spend as much time with Swami as possible. So we used to go 4 times, and I used to get into trouble at work all the time. So I had got a new job in 2000 as a chief scientist and the director of research in a Fortune 100 company doing biometrics and national ID cards. I've just joined the company. 6 months or 7 months I've been there. And one day, then when I joined the company, I told my boss that I'm very happy to work, but I will join. I don't care about promotion. I don't care about raise, but I will join only if you let me take 2 weeks leave at least twice a year during July and during November. He said, since I need you, I am willing to accept that condition. Join, you can take 2 weeks leave. So I joined, and then I was planning on year 2000, Swami's birthday. So I was really looking forward to coming for the birthday. I was making preparations. One day, my boss called me. He said, you cannot take leave during Thanksgiving time. Something important has come. I asked him, what is it? He said, we have implemented a national ID system in South America, in one of the countries, and they're using our technology. There is a service provider who is implementing a technology, but unfortunately, our technology is not working. So they have filed a lawsuit against our company, $30 million, and they're refusing to talk to me. They're refusing to talk to the executives. The managing director of this company, who is filing the lawsuit, she said she wants to talk to the head of research directly. So I have made arrangements. You're going today to South America, and you're going to explain to them how great our technology is. And now this was in the, then this was in the year 2001, and not 2000, 2001. Then, and then of course I was going to, not for the 70th birthday, 71st birthday, I was making preparations to go. Just on 9/11, the Twin Towers have been demolished. There is so much chaos. Nobody is traveling. So here he was telling me, now you have to travel. So then I told him there are 3 problems. First is nobody wants to travel. It's very dangerous to travel. Second, I told you I need the leave. And, and I said, for third thing is, I just joined the company 6 months ago. I don't know what the technology is fully. I have not understood. I'm trying to understand, grasp what it is. He said, I have no choice. You have to help me. You have to go. So that night, he told me at 3 o'clock, midnight, I was boarding a plane. I was going to South America. Then I prayed to Swami. Swami, I don't know what's happening. It's a very dangerous time to travel. I don't know the technology. And I know these people are filing a lawsuit. And I want to be with you. I'm unable to be with you. You please take over. I don't know what my duty is. I don't even know how to carry out my duty. So I landed there and all night I traveled. Then I went to the hotel, took a bath and breakfast, and straight went to the office. And this young lady who was the general manager, and she had her lawyer by the side. And then she was drilling me question after question, what the technology. And she said, do you know the real problem, why we are upset about? The president of the country has given a promise, election promise. The elections are going to take place soon. One of his promises is this new national ID system will prevent all fraud. So we spent a lot of money and implemented your system, but it is failing. The opposition parties are keep bringing some candidates who failed the system and they are campaigning against the president. So this is very serious problem. And he says the second in command, it's called director of police. It's like the defense minister. He wants to meet you. So he came and he was a tall seven footer. And I was tiny in front of him. He shook his hands and it pained. He said, I'm very happy you have come. Please make sure the problem is solved. Until you solve the problem, you cannot leave the country. You will be a state guest. And then he shook my hand. It hurt my hands. So I was praying, Swami, I don't know what to do. Then we went, he kept working. I was talking to my teams. And every day I talked to this lady, general manager. Her lawyer was there. She was recording everything because my boss has told me, be careful what you talk. And the fact that you don't know the technology too much, it's good because you won't reveal the secrets. Anyway, of course, it is usual habit to, whenever something goes wrong in any software, we blame Microsoft. It is the normal habit. But here, it was truly the Microsoft problem. Because Microsoft had a Windows 95 and Windows NT, which came in 2000. This is 2001. Then, see, the representation, there is the little Indian and big Indian, that the way you represent the most significant, least significant, the order changed. So our software engineers forgot to remember that this is going in different systems. You have to interpret correctly. So we found the problem. We solved it. Finally, one day, of course, the first day when I came, the lady asked me, are you from India? I said, I am originally from India. I am from the US. So I was wondering, why does she care where I am from? And then after it was solved, it's working correctly. The defense minister came, thanked me, but he said, you cannot go until we make sure that it works correctly. The lady called me. That time the lawyer was not there. She said, I want to talk to you. She said, from the day you came, I've been dying to talk to you. That's why I asked you, are you from India? Then she took out a keychain from her purse and then dangled in front of me. And she asked, do you know Satya? And there was a picture of Bhagwan on that keychain. I was in a state of shock. Because Bhagwan has been doing, she said, do you know something? This is my first major job as the general manager. My father is a great devotee of Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba. He's a doctor. He does so much service. So I and my sister have grown up together, worshiping him. I was praying to him that I'm going to lose my job. The country is in big trouble. And she said, do you know something? Even this president is a devotee of Satya Sai Baba. When he went 10 years ago as a young man, as soon as Swami saw him, he will be president. And nobody believed it. So it's so important. And the system is going to go live on November 23rd. Of course, it's how coincidental that we are talking during the birthday time. So then she said, I'm so happy to see you because I was praying to Swami that do a miracle, do something, you come and help. So I feel Swami himself has come, that you have come. And I was in a state of shock because I had no clue what was going on. And then she said, here is the letter I have written to my boss. It is in Spanish, but let me translate. She says to her boss, I don't know how the problem got solved, but all I can tell you, God himself is taking care of our company. So that's when I understood Swami is taking responsibility not only for individuals, for $1 billion, everything is in his hands. So we are not the doers. So you don't have to do our duty without love. We don't have to do even duty with love. Just love God. He will take care of everything. And that's pretty much the import of this beautiful saying of Bhagwan. Sai.
Dr. Shankar, that was absolutely inspiring and wonderful. And my God, the mysterious divine ways of our beloved Lord and how he comes to our aid without we even having the awareness. And he says, the grace that I shower on you that you may be aware of. He said there are hundreds of other occasions when I shower the grace that you're not aware of.
Exactly.
Yes. So very beautiful that sharing. Thank you so much. You know, Dr. Shankar, on the spiritual part, Swami speaks about a very important quality, and that is equanimity. He says we must be equal minded through pain and pleasure, through loss and gain. And he says that we allow people and circumstances on the outside to rob us of that equanimity, attachment to ideas, to family, to friends, robs us of that equanimity. And at times when we feel the equanimity for short periods, it does not last very long. We may feel it as soon as we come out of our prayer room in the morning. And the moment we drive out our driveway and somebody gives us a bad drive, we lose that equanimity and that inner contact. And we become afflicted with anger, with attachment, with greed, etc. And Swami has this very beautiful saying, let the wave of memory, the storm of desire, and the fire of emotion pass through the system without affecting your equanimity. What is your understanding and practice of this teaching of Swami? And what are some of the tools Swami has given us through his teachings of how we can always be in this equanimic state, this even-mindedness as he speaks about it?
Okay, wonderful question. Before I answer, I wanted to add one more thing I forgot in the previous story. So after that lady talked with me and then the general manager, she said, my father has passed away, but I would like you to visit my house and meet my mother. So visited her house. And before I left, she before she dropped me off at the airport, she said, I have two letters written, one by me and one by my sister. So when you go to Prashantalayam, go to see Swami, please give these letters to him. So that November birthday, I didn't go. In January, I visited Swami. Then in my hurry to go to Swami, to the veranda, I had forgotten the letter in my room. So I went and then Swami came out. As soon as he came out of the interview room for darshan, he just looked at me. He said, Pagal, you fool. You come in a hurry. Where is the letter meant for me? That girl gave. So I went to he said, right now go back and bring the letters to me. So this is how Swami acknowledged. So now coming back to your question, it is so profound. And again, Swami's teachings are so inspiring. Swami will say, everybody says, I want independence. But look at the word independence, independence. Even though you say, I want to be independent, you're always in dependence. You're slaves to your desires all the time. So why does it happen like that? So if you look at our persona, our life, how do we spend our life? There are three ways we interact with the world. Thoughts, of course, thoughts is an interaction within ourselves. Second, word. Third is action. So all is karma. Thought is mental action, word is verbal action, and action is physical action. So thought, word, and deed. So what kind of thoughts we have, what kind of words we speak, what kind of actions we do define our experience in life. And that's why Swami says, whatever you think you should speak, whatever you speak, you should do. There should be coordination. What you think you should speak, what you speak, you should do. If this moment there is slightest disharmony, equanimity is not possible. The reason we don't have equanimity, because we are thinking certain thoughts, we are speaking some other words, we are acting something else. As Swami used to say, the one you think you are, the one others think you are. Our entire life is a fight between the one we think we are and the one others think we are. And we totally ignore the one who really are. So unless we focus on the one who really are, equanimity is not possible. We are only focusing on the one we think we are and the one others think we are. The opinion of others are so important to us, and we want to force what we want others to think about us. We are forcing it, we are pretending. And Swami used to say, it's so easy to tell the truth. It's like less luggage makes travel a pleasure. So when you tell the truth, you can live happily, nothing to worry. When you tell a lie, you have to be worried who you told, in what context you told, and you have to pretend so many things to protect the lie. So life itself becomes a lie when thoughts, words, and deeds are not in coordination. See, there is a famous psychologist, a cognitive psychologist, and also he's a behavioral psychologist. He's an economist. He got a Nobel Prize. And he has a beautiful theory I want to say in this context. What he did a lot of research on human behavior, and he found something very interesting. He said there are two types of experiences. There are two people in us. The one is the experiencing self, the other is the remembering self. And he says these are connected with the left brain and the right brain. The left brain is generally associated with memory. So that's why it's the remembering self. It is always in the past or in the future. So the past is we recall what happened, we keep remembering. The future you can think of also thoughts as imagining selves. So we are spending all the time as a remembering self or an imagining self on our memories or thoughts. The experiencing self, the right brain, we only spend very little time. And he gives an instance. He said, probably you may experience for 3 seconds in a minute, and then the 57 seconds, you are lost in your thoughts. That's why when you are talking to somebody, people don't listen. And they say, what did you say? And usually when somebody cracks a joke, there is a neighbor who will tell, what did he tell? They will miss the joke. Because we are not paying 100% attention. The left brain is analytical. It's always critical. It analyzes the analysis paralysis. While the right brain is from the heart, it's directly connected with the entire universe. The proper way to live is in the present moment, in the presence of God, in the presence of our consciousness. But we don't want to live in the present moment. Very little experience, and we jump to the past or to the future. And that is the source of all. Equanimity is possible only when we are in the present moment. And if the thought, word, and deed are in coordinations, it's easy to be in the present moment. When there is violation between thought, word, and deed, we keep jumping back and forth. We have to keep track of so many things. And that is where the problem comes. And now the ego will not allow us to live in the present moment. You may ask, what is this ego? Ego is not a real thing. It is a false thing, but it seems to have so much power. Swami once told me the ego is a king who lives in a fort with 9 gates. This is the 9 dwaras are opening in the body. And ego has a council of ministers: mind, intellect, memory, and willpower. And then ego has a chief minister, that is desire. The ego has 2 bodyguards, anger and greed. And ego's spy leader is jealousy. And ego's teacher is delusion, and ego's mother is ignorance. This ego has no existence on its own. It takes its power from Atma, the consciousness. And it is not material either. It is not consciousness, it is not material, but it abuses the material aspects of human persona, that is the body-mind complex. But the thing about ego is, the moment you challenge the ego and you find out, you ask the ego, who are you? And find out who it is, instantly it will die. It has no more relevance. And that is when the ego dies, is the moment of supreme happiness in equanimity. So in our day-to-day life, there is wakeful state, there is dream state, and we have no peace. There is no equanimity either during wakeful state or during dream state. Only time we are peaceful, and others also peaceful on account of us, when we go into deep sleep. Because the ego is absent. Why? And when the ego is absent, the ego has no power when there are no thoughts. So ego and thoughts are interconnected. So we have to be in the present moment. As we have to be the experiencing self. We have to keep expanding. That's why in between 2 thoughts, there is a gap. It's a tiny gap because we are so focused on thoughts. We jump from one thought to another thought, like riding a horse, and we are being kidnapped and taken away. So any sadhana we practice is to hold our attention to the present moment, the presence of consciousness within us. That's why Swami is telling, let the waves of memory or the storms of desire or the fiery emotions pass away. That means do not jump to the past or the future. Do not become part of the remembering self, be the part of the experiencing self. You are that God that you're experiencing yourself. Otherwise, if we let our negative emotions take over, simultaneously there will be six forest fires, kama, krodha, lobha, etc., will be going on, and we will never be peaceful. And I hope that addresses your question, Brother Faiz. Saira.
Very, very much so, Dr. Shankar. Very simply explained with Swami's teachings and beautiful examples. And I remember Swami saying, forget the past. It can never be recalled.
Yes,
Future you're not sure of. The given moment is now, the present, the omnipresent,
yes,
because God is. So when you, as you said, when you live in the moment, you are living in the consciousness that I am God. Because God,
exactly.
He doesn't exist in the past nor in the future. He exists now. So living in the now is so critical in dealing with things of the past and the future, and also creating that awareness of equanimity, which is so important. And you know, many of us, we allow others to rob us and steal this equanimity from us by becoming a victim of what they say to us and how we are affected by their actions. But as one writer said, it doesn't matter what happens outside of you, which you are not in control of, but what is important is how you choose to respond, where you are in control and you can select which response to practice in that given moment. And again, it ties in with equanimity. Pause, think, and then act, and try not to have any knee jerk reactions, as Swami says, which sometimes we may see things that could hurt or cause pain. So, very, very beautiful explanation and discussion, and Dr. Shankar, and such a very important quality for the spiritual aspirant on the path as he navigates through life. Swami says, be happy. In fact, in a couple of days, we'll be commemorating the 87th birth anniversary of the avatar of the age, Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba. And on that day, we tell Swami happy birthday. But I remember in a divine discourse, he says, why do you wish me happy birthday? I am always happy. He says, you are the one who are not always happy. So you should be happy because I always am in a state of happiness and bliss. So when Swami says, be happy, can you expand on the statement? And how can we be happy all the time?
Very beautiful question. This reminds me of a wonderful experience I had in the year 2000, Swami's 70th birthday. So we wanted to do something special for Bhagwan for his birthday, but we didn't know what to do because he has everything. He is everything. What can you give as a birthday gift to Bhagwan when he's the one who is giving? He's the only one who celebrates his birthday by giving gifts to others. Everybody else receives gifts on their birthday. So we were sitting when Swami came near. I stood on my knees. I said, Swami. He said, what? Swami, we want to do something special for you for birthday, but we don't know what to do unless you tell us. We don't know what to do. Swami looked at me seriously. He said, I don't want anything. He walked away. Next darshan he came. Again, I stood on my knees. Swami said, what? I said, Swami, what can we do for your birthday? And Swami said in Telugu, "No, Moscow, shut up. I don't need anything. I have everything." So I got scared. So I said, "I'm not going to ask him." Then Swami came the third time. I kept quiet. I didn't ask him. The fourth darshan, Swami came again near. I still kept quiet. And then Swami bent down and looked. "What is it you were asking the other day? Ask me again." Then I got up my courage, again stood on my knees. I said, "Swami, what can we do for you?" Then Swami said, "What are you capable of doing for me?" Walked away. Then I said the matter was over. Then fifth darshan he came. Then Swami said, "Chappu, tell, what is it you want?" I didn't know whether to tell him what can we do for his birthday or just keep quiet. I said, "Swami," he said, "No, no, 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 not here in the public." He grabbed my hand, "Come with me, we'll talk inside." And he walked about 80 feet from where I was sitting all the way to the interview room, holding my hand. He was like a little child, giggling. He was so excited that he is going to talk about birthday gift for you. So we joined, went inside. Swami went into the outer interview room. He said, "No, no, no, not here. We'll go in the inner interview room," as if we are going to talk a great secret he didn't want anybody to hear. So went inside, sat in his chair. We sat on either side. Swami said, "Now tell, what is it you want?" Then we were again on our knees, neck on either side of Swami. "Swami, we want to do something for your birthday, but we don't know what to do." Swami said, then he said, "Will you give me anything if I ask?" I didn't expect this from Swami. I said, "Of course, Swami, we will give anything you ask. Please ask, we will do." Swami said, then he said, "I want," he didn't complete the sentence. So we were getting excited. We were little so close to Swami, so we could feel his hair tingling against our cheeks. We were so close to Swami. He's going to tell what he wants. Finally, we are going to do it. We were so excited. Swami said, "I want." Then he relaxed back. He said, "No, you won't do it. Even if I ask you, you won't do it." "No, no, no, I'm not going to ask." We said, "No, Swami, please ask." Then he again said, "I want." The suspense was building up. And then it was, the whole place was so quiet. We were not aware of anything, only Swami's presence, his face so close. Then Swami said beautifully, I want you to be happy. That is the only birthday gift I want from you." So as you said, when Swami says be happy, that is the only birthday gift he wants from us. But you know what? Man can do anything. He can go to the moon, he can fly in space, he can go deep down into the ocean, he can go into the earth and collect diamonds and gems, and he can build an empire, he can destroy, he can produce weapons. But one thing man cannot do is how to be happy. This is an impossible task for man to be happy. And since he is not happy, he will make everybody else unhappy. And you know what? That is the only thing God wants. Be happy. Saira.
So, Dr. Shankar, it is very easy to say, be happy. And as you said, when you look around in the society, there is hardly anyone that is happy all the time. As we discussed before, we allow internal enemies and external circumstances to rob us of that peace of mind, that equanimity, that happiness inside. How then do we remain or become happy at all times, in all circumstances?
Okay, first of all, we have to know the value of happiness to learn to be happy, right? There is a beautiful story Swami once told. Indra, the god, the chief god, and Indra represents mind. And there is a Puranic story. He is so fond of his position. Even gods have problems with positions, so they don't want to give up. So, according to our tradition, anybody who is good, who does good things, eventually gets qualified to become the chief of gods. And Indra doesn't want anybody, so he disturbs. So that's why when the mind, we want to control the mind, so many temptations comes. So this Indra was cursed and he was born as a pig. So Indra forgot his true nature and became a pig. And he got married to a Miss Piggy, and they had a wonderful family, and they have piglets as their children. And he was living happily in the slush, what he thought was happiness. So the Narada, the celestial sage, the singer, he passed by and recognized Indra. He said, Indra, you are not a pig. You are the king of gods. What are you doing here? The Indra, his memory came back. He said, Narada, go away. I am so happy with my pig wife and pig children. There's nothing greater than this slush of mud. I don't want heaven. And then Swami asked, is there a moral to this story? He said, you're all like the pigs. You're so attached to the world. You're so attached to your senses. You're so attached to your pleasures. When the guru comes and tells, give up this, this is not your real nature, you don't understand what is true happiness. So unless you know the value of something, we will never even attempt to reach for it. So we are not able to be happy. But what is it that prevents us from not knowing the value? So that's why Swami says body attachment, the body consciousness. We are so attached to this body, we won't go into the question how we got attached. If you're truly the self, how did it become attached to that? That's an entire philosophic discussion. Every religion, every philosopher has asked this question, and nobody has found the answer. Nobody has given the answer. They give vague answers like it's Maya, it's illusion, or it's Leela, it's God's play. So it cannot be discussed. But the answer could be experience when we really. So there is no intellectual answer. The mind cannot understand. So we will not go there. So here by body, he is referring to, Swami is referring to the five koshas, the five sheaths. The physical body, Annamaya kosha, the vital air sheath, the Pranamaya kosha, the mental sheath, the Manomaya kosha, the Vijnanamaya kosha, the intellectual sheath, and the Anandamaya kosha, the causal body where the vasanas, the tendencies are there. As long as we are attached to any of these, we will not be able to get the happiness we are looking for. And then Swami says, there are three maladies that affect humanity. And what are those? He said, Tapa, Papa, Ajnana. Tapa means suffering. Papa means sin. Ajnana means ignorance. Actually, the correct order is ignorance, sin, and suffering. What is ignorance? As I told you, we won't ask why we became ignorant. That cannot be answered. that has to be experienced. So now, what is ignorance? Ignorance is not knowing we are pure consciousness. So since we don't know we are pure consciousness, which is the source of bliss, and happiness is only limited bliss, suffering is absence of limited bliss. Since we don't know that, we commit the sin. What is sin? Sin is to act as if we are not consciousness. And that's where the ego comes into play. Anything we think, do, or act is not based on the highest awareness that we are God or we are pure consciousness. That is sin. So ignorance is the original sin. And when we act as if we are not consciousness, as if we are the body, we are the mind, we are the personality, every desire, every word, every action as a reflection, reaction, resound, there is a consequence. And why do we suffer? When we don't like the consequence of what we have done, we suffer because we reject. So we are not happy because we don't like what is happening to us. That is the fundamental reason. So there are two ways to handle it. Accept everything. That is surrender. Or take full responsibility for everything that happens to us. Either we have to take full responsibility, which is the same as accepting everything. Then we will be happy. When we start fighting that I don't like this, I don't like what somebody said, I don't like the action of, like you said, we get into this duality, we are not going to be happy. We are going to suffer the consequences of it. So we have to live every moment. It comes back to the being in the present moment, comes back to love without duty is divine, that we are pure consciousness. Every time we waver away from it, we have to bring our focus back to it. I am pure consciousness. I am pure consciousness. I am not the limited self. We should keep telling us. Saira.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shankar. Very, very interesting, thought-provoking discussion and answers. And as you speak about happiness, I remember Swami in an interview when I had failed a particular subject in one of my examinations because I did not like the subject, economics. He told me, he said, happiness is liking the things that you have to do and not doing the things that you like to do. So when I pondered on this statement and began to practice it, in the next sitting, I got the highest mark in the class. And what the realization that came to me is that when Swami said happiness is liking the things you have to do and not doing the things you like to do, if I learn to like what I have to do, then I'll be doing what I like to do.
Yes.
So it was an adjustment of attitude towards the subject. And this can be applied to everything in life. Happiness is liking the things you have to do and not doing the things you like to do. So, Dr. Shankar, again, as we traverse the spiritual path, and once you have taken a physical body, there are karmas to be worked out. And we are aware of the different types of karmas, those that we bring from the past, those that we create, those that we have to pay for based on our past actions. So whilst in the physical body, there will be challenges, trials, and tribulations happening in our lives. And these challenges, Swami says, are the ones that should toughen us and make us spiritually stronger. But at times, the challenges sometimes can be so formidable, so strong and intense, it overpowers us. We lose control. Swami, in his own words, said, "Do you think that I would confront you with pain were there not a reason for it? Open your heart to pain as you do now for pleasure, for it is my will wrought by me for your own good." On a very practical level, Dr. Shankar, when something good happens to us, when we get a promotion, when a new child is born, when a good event happens, we feel that happiness. On the other side of the coin, when we lose somebody dear to us or we lose our jobs, we get in an accident, the challenge comes. It is not an easy thing to remain in the same state of being or mind when the good things happen as opposed to the bad things. So, what does Swami say about how then do we practice dealing with those challenges to the point where we are able to view them or see God even in the chaos, even in the challenge, and use that awareness and understanding to become bigger, better, and stronger spiritually? Because it's really not an easy thing in everyday life to practice.
Very, very challenging question. And this is an everyday struggle for me as well. But what I've learned from Swami, I'll share with you a few ideas. I don't know how much time we have because it's almost an hour, but let me take
Please go
some.
right ahead and take your time.
Yeah. So, see, we think success is a friend and failure is an enemy. Actually, success is an enemy and failure is a friend. And also, we think pleasure is a friend and pain is an enemy, but pleasure is an enemy and pain is a friend. Because when we experience pleasure, when we experience success, the ego bloats up. We go farther away from our consciousness, pure consciousness. But when we are criticized, when we experience pain, when we fail, we come back to ground. We are not flying anymore. And we see the limitations. So let's take, as you said, Swami says, I will never give you something, an experience you cannot handle. I'll never give you a challenge unless I have given you a means how to overcome the challenge. Of course, usually say an optimist who sees an obstacle as an opportunity, a pessimist who sees an opportunity as an obstacle. And that's where the problem is. Okay, let's take the thing pain. The pain has two aspects, an inner aspect as an outer aspect. Of course, take in the case of disease. There is an inner manifestation and an outer incrustation. Every disease, and we will go eventually, thinking is also a disease. We'll come to that later, and that's where all the problem happens. Now, truly disease happens because of our negative qualities within us, which become toxic. But what the medical science and the doctors treat is the external symptoms. And they provide a cure, and it works, but it only works temporarily because disease comes back. because the source of the disease has not been solved. The source of the disease of the body are in the thoughts of the subtle body, and the source of the thoughts is in the causal body as the vasanas or the tendencies. As long as those tendencies are there, they're going to sprout and they're going to give the experience of pain or pleasure. So we want to have only pleasure, we want to avoid pain. But duality is not like that. There is no night without day. There is no pain without pleasure. So there is no birth without death. Either you accept both or you reject both. There is no in between. We cannot say, I will only accept birth, I will not accept death. I will only accept pleasure, I will not accept pain. I will only accept success, I will not accept failure. These are two sides of the same coin, and the coin is ego. As long as the ego is nothing but duality. As long as it's there, we are going to keep experiencing. So if you look at the word pain as an acronym, PAIN, peaceful acceptance of inner negativity. So if you face pain fair and square, the pain will lose its strength. I've experienced myself when there is pain in the body, there is pain in the heart, and instead of looking at the source of the pain, we want to blame somebody else. As a child, we blame the parents. And when we grow up, we blame everything on the parents, the very parents who sacrificed everything for us. There is no higher ingratitude than that. That's why in the Vedas it is said, Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava. So respect your mother as God, father as God, teacher as God, and guest as God. Actually, Swami went one step further. He told me, Deve Matram Bhavya. God has come as your mother. God has come as your father. God has come as your teacher. God has come as the guest. In this case, guest means everyone we interact with. So that development, that understanding is not there. We suffer from pain. So we have to, like Swami said, you have to accept pain as equally as you accept pleasure. See, even in the Lord's Prayer, he says, give us our daily bread. That is the lowest aspect of the prayer. That is, we are telling God what we want. Then we say, lead us not into temptation. Then we are telling God what we think we need. But when we say, let thy will be done, we have given it to God. Whatever you do for me is for my best. Only then we will be able to have that equanimity we want to be in. That love without duty is possible. In this connection, I want to tell you an experience in which Swami taught me how to deal with the mind, how to deal with the thoughts. So once during the trip, whether it's the interviews or whether it's the talks, Swami had a particular theme. He was talking about the nature of mind. And then he will say, he will take his, you might have heard it in many talks yourself, he will take his white handkerchief. He'll say, what is this? This is a handkerchief. But is it really handkerchief? It is not a handkerchief. It's made of the threads. Without the threads, there is no handkerchief. And what is the thread? Thread is nothing but cotton. So he said, mind is like that. He kept telling over and over. And I contemplated over that. Because when Swami keeps telling something over and over, it has great significance. So I started thinking And one by one, the secrets of the mind were being revealed. I want to share with you 4 secrets about the mind, which Swami taught me, which will provide a clue how to handle the challenge you posed. Mind is our biggest problem. But can you fight with mind? It is not possible. It is impossible to control the mind. So how do you deal with the mind? So the first secret Swami taught, this is not the handkerchief, this is the thread. Don't focus on the full handkerchief, don't focus on the mind, focus on the thought. Because mind is nothing but a collection of thoughts. And each thought lasts perhaps half a second, 1 second. The thought keeps coming one after another. So if you want to fight the mind, fight each thought. So observe the thoughts, and we'll talk about that towards the end, what Swami taught. So understand thoughts are the building blocks of the mind. And the second aspect Swami said is, Swami always said thoughts are passing clouds. Thoughts do not belong to us. Thoughts is Hiranyagarbha, it's cosmic mind. It keeps floating. Consciousness has nothing to do with thoughts. So the source of the thoughts is the vasanas, the seeds. But we have nothing to do with it. But as long as we have a seed of a particular thought that resonates with the thoughts that goes and then clings onto it. So the first problem is we are focusing on the whole mind. If you focus on the thought and understand the thought is not belonging to us, we go and grab the thought and we are complaining the thought is haunting us. And Swami said there is a way they used to catch monkeys in the olden days. They will put a narrow clay pot and put some nuts into it. The monkey will get attracted to the nuts and put its hand into it and grab all the nuts. And then when it tries to pull, the narrow neck will not allow the hand to come out. But the monkey is so greedy, it won't give up the nuts. It cannot pull the hand out. All night it will sit until they come and catch it. He said, you are like the monkey. You are holding on to the thoughts which do not belong to you. You're attracted by them and you're complaining, oh, I'm not able to control my mind. My thoughts are bothering me. Others are bothering me. You just give it up. You can, the monkey could have slowly removed. So the second secret is thoughts don't belong to us. The third secret is, suppose you take a thread. If there is a single thread, we can easily cut it or break it. But if you put multiple threads and then twist it in a helical structure, it becomes very strong. It's very difficult to break. So if we allow one thought and we keep thinking over and over like a habit, it starts as it and then it becomes bit, it becomes a bit and it becomes habit. So it's a bunch of thoughts. We don't know how to break it. So go back, make a habit, break it into a bit to a bit and make it and let it disappear. So the quality of thoughts, tamasic thoughts are very dense, very difficult to overcome. Rajasic thoughts are very powerful, but they're a little bit looser. But sattvic thoughts, very, very few, very good thoughts. But satsangatve nitsangatvam, go beyond thoughts, go experience consciousness. That is the third secret. And then Swami finally gave the fourth secret. You see, awareness can focus only on one thought at a time. That's why there is a thought, there is a gap, there is a thought, there is a gap. The gap is, if we can experience the gap, it is the experience of samadhi. It is the experience of ultimate experience of bliss. It is the ultimate experience of peace. That is the experiencing self, not the remembering self we talked about. But we are focused on the thoughts. So that's why all the techniques, the Bhakti Marga, how do you handle it? One thought at a time. Replace that thought by chanting God's name. Because what is our nature? Our nature is repetitive. If we like something, we keep on repeating in our mind, I like it, I like it. I like this person, I like this person. I hate this person, I hate this person. So this is repetitive habit. If you want to overcome, you need another repetitive habit. So Om Sai Ram, or whatever name of God. That is Bhakti Marga. Or Karma Marga, utilize that thought for the sake of somebody else, not yourself. That is compassion. Now, what does the Raja Yoga teach us? It teaches mindfulness. You see, when you observe a thought, you focus, you're giving energy to it, and the thought survives and brings others, friends. Other thoughts come and the temptations go. Don't feed it, observe it, be mindful. If you're mindful, it'll hang around for a while, and if you don't pay attention, it'll go and bother somebody else. And what does Jnana Yoga do? Jnana Yoga says, don't worry about the thought, ask to whom it is coming, focus yourself with it. So all these techniques are equally powerful, equally efficient, and equally effective for us to get the equanimity. And actually, we are foolishing, arguing with each other. Jnana Yoga is superior to Bhakti Yoga is superior to Karma Yoga is superior to Raja Yoga. Swami says it's integral yoga. You have to be a complete personality. And that is the saying of Bhagavad Gita also. Swami says, don't get involved in these things. Understand the seriousness of the problem. You are not a bunch of thoughts. Right now, we are nothing but our personality is nothing but our thoughts. And if you think about it, 99.9% of the thoughts are repetitive. We have no original thoughts in us. Only when we become thoughtless, the divine inspiration will come as Sai Antarvani within us. That God will speak to us. God is within us. And that is the teaching I learned from Bhagwan Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shankar. You've really shared wonderful tools of how we should deal with the mind and especially the thoughts. And I really like the one about being the witness, watching it rise and fall, but not identifying with it or getting involved with it. Because once you begin to do that, it can, as you said, other thoughts, memories add on to it and it becomes more and more stronger, and then it overpowers you. So being the witness is not getting involved. And after a while, as you said, it will go and bother someone else.
Of course, we don't want it to wish to bother someone else, but it happens.
So my final question in this very deeply moving, thought-provoking interview deals with grace. We've spoken about the challenges. We've spoken about the effects of karmas from the past that we need to work out in this incarnation. We've seen examples where the avatar, Swami's out of his love and compassion, has intervened to either remove karmic consequences from past actions or mitigate or lessen them. And that has come through the power of grace. So, how can one secure and use the grace of God to lessen or mitigate past negative karmas, the effects in this life?
Very beautiful question again. Think of the example of the monkey grabbing on the nuts into that and trying to pull it off. This is doership. This is ego, that I am the doer. I am doing these things. When we give up that sense of doership, the grace is always there. We have looked away from the consciousness is the basis. Everything else happens in that. The grace of Bhagwan is always there. And Swami said, you are praying to me for my grace. Actually, you should pray to your mind for its grace. Unless your mind gives you the grace, you won't be even able to recognize my grace. Because we are slaves to our own minds, and we talked about the nature of the mind. So we have to become absolutely confident that God is within me. God is helping me all the time. See, if you think about it, thinking is the problem. Desiring is the problem. Desirelessness is the solution. Speaking is the problem. Silence is the solution. Feeling is the problem. Equanimity is the solution. Doing is the problem. Being is the solution. When we are in the present moment, when we recognize the omnipresence of God, that is absolute grace. We don't have, we think we have to do something. We have to do so many service projects, and then we have to let everybody know what we are doing. We have to do every day 10 hours of meditation, or we have to feed hundreds of thousands of people, or we have to read all the scriptures, or we have to keep inquiring. We have to become the greatest jnani. We don't have to do anything. If we stop doing what we are doing, the grace will pour on us instantly. We are just messing up the grace that is flowing on us. It's like the sunlight is there, the window is closed. Just open the window, open the doors of your heart for God, for the light. Actually, the sun is not even outside, the sun is inside. We are closing it. So we don't have to do anything for grace, because it's just like fish that is floating in the ocean, asking, where is ocean? We are floating in the ocean of divine love, and we are saying, where is love? Where is love? Where is grace? Where is grace? It is always there. We just have to accept it, recognize it, enjoy it, and share it. The more we share, the more grace will flow. The more we hold, then we will become the blockage. The more, so honesty is the best policy. Selflessness is the best policy. Loving everyone is the best policy. How to live. Saira.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shankar, for those wonderful recipes, yes, of how grace operates and how we can attract the grace in our lives. As we come to the end of this wonderful interview, kindly share some closing remarks before we close.
It has been a great pleasure to talk.
Before, just sorry about the interruption, share some closing remarks too, as it relates to the celebration or the commemoration of the 97th birth anniversary of the Avatar.
Absolutely. We are indeed very fortunate to have been born during the time when Avatar was born. If I honestly ask myself, having gotten this incredible opportunity to know about him, and having had a chance to be near him physically, listen to his teachings, and have his darshan for the better part of 4 decades, if I were to ask myself, have I really understood the divinity Swami is? Have I really appreciated his extraordinary love? Have I really put forth every possible effort, every ounce of my energy to live his teachings every moment, to be what he wanted me to be, to receive the gift he has come to give to me, I have to admit that I have failed. Of course, I have no right to ask about that to others, but I can ask myself. But Swami says, the chance has been given to you. You have frittered away the chances. But God has infinite patience. He has infinite compassion. He said the past is past. The future is uncertain. You can start fresh in the present moment. So we can resolve in the present moment. Because just asking him forgiveness and not doing about anything is not good. So we can start fresh and start recognizing our true nature as consciousness. Swami as the embodiment of that consciousness within us. And we can show that gratitude, but loving, love without duty, that feeling of surrender, accepting everything. If we could do it, I think what Swami once said, liberation is one thought away, 1 second away. The effort needed is the effort needed to press a rose petal between the forefinger and the thumb. And he said, I say it emphatically to you. One day he said, I say it emphatically. You can realize God right now if you really, really want it. I am giving, but you're not taking. What can I do? So Swami said, the day you feel, I don't need anything, I don't anyone to make me happy, that is the day you deserve to be called a human being. That is the day you can truly celebrate my birthday in your heart. Jai Sai Ram.
Dr. P.V. Shankar, the Sri Satya Sai Global Council of Trinidad and Tobago, wishes to express gratitude and appreciation for you taking the time to share the teachings and your perspective of the teachings of Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba as we near this auspicious occasion of another commemoration of his birthday celebration. May Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba continue to bless and guide you. May you continue to be the loving instrument you are as his mission unfolds. It has truly been an inspiration, a motivation, and a thought-provoking interview. And I'm sure that every viewer who looks at it will be inspired to become closer and more aware of the divinity within. Jai Sai Ram.
Jai Sai Ram.